Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the snobOS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We definitely want to thank you back to another episode. This is episode 212 of the snobOS show, and we definitely want to thank all those people for your continued support. If you want to support financially, you can show us a little love by going to patreon.com/snobOScast. Show us a little love, give us a little love offering, or if you subscribe to our Patreon on a monthly basis, you'll get access to our pre-show where we just recorded our pre-show. We talked about adulting, we talked about being a dad coach, talked about driving all the way down to Savannah, and we talked about what people are doing down in Jamaican Carnival. So if you want to get that content, you definitely have to be a Patreon subscriber to get access to that content and to get access to this show early. We've got people listening, we got people watching on the stream live, and you can only do that if you are a Patreon supporter of the show. So definitely go to snobos.com forward slash patreon.com forward slash snoboscast so you can do that. And we would definitely appreciate it if you do. So we definitely want to get started with our show. We start with the lowdown as always, where we talk all things Apple. Nica hit me up. She was like, did you, and she didn't say it exactly like that, but as soon as she found out or got whiff of the fact that this Apple Card savings account was live or available or able to set up, she definitely sent out the Batman APB signal. And I played around for a little bit and was able to confirm that the Apple Card savings account is now available. I know specifically for the US. I'm pretty sure it's available other places, but earlier this week, us folks in the US got the ability to get access to the Apple Card. I don't know what it's called. Is it Apple
It's just
Card
called
savings
Apple.
account?
I think it's just Apple
Is it
Savings.
daily cash? Is it Apple Cash
I
savings?
think it's just called Apple Savings.
Okay, we're just going to call it Apple Savings going forward. Basically, if you are an Apple Card user, you definitely have to be an Apple Card user. You can then now open or start a high yield savings account. The right now they've got the rate at 4.15%. You can actually start this high yield savings account, and then optional, but probably highly recommended by Apple, is that you transfer your daily cashback savings. So a benefit of the Apple Card, anytime you use it, you get 1, 2, or 3%, depending on where you shop. Normally, that amount goes into the Apple Cash account. I'm air quoting account because it's not really an account. It's just a place where you can hold, kind of like Cash App, right? Kind of like
Yeah.
PayPal, kind of like Venmo. You can fund this Apple Cash account and then you use that to make payments. When you swipe your credit card, that 1, 2, 3% cash back goes directly into that account, but it just sits there, right? So Apple's like, all right, well, um, we need to use some of y'all money. We need to figure out a way to become a financial institution. So what
Right.
we're going to do is, in addition to giving you an Apple credit card, in addition to giving you access to Apple Cash, to where you can use that at any place that takes Apple Pay, now we're also going to give you a Apple savings account. And the way to entice you is by giving you that high yield percent of 4.15% and give you the ability to easily transfer your Apple Cash into that account, to where if you do it, I think, I'm not sure, but I think any purchases after you set up the account, when you get the cash back from using your credit card, I think your daily cash, or yeah, your
Automatically, I
daily
think it
cash
automatically. I think it automatically
automatically
goes.
goes into the savings account, so you don't have to manually have to transfer that amount over. So definitely goes
Yep, it
against.
says it in the article. Once a savings
Okay,
account is set up, all future daily cash earned by the user will be automatically deposited into the account, and this is coming straight from Apple.com newsroom.
got you. And with that, there are no fees, there are no setup fees, there's no monthly usage fees, there's no fees if you decide you want to use the money and you want to transfer it to your credit card, or however you want to get that money back. No fees whatsoever. It'll be interesting to see how this competes against Goldman Sachs, who is the I guess, conduit for the Apple Card and the Apple Cash, because they have their own like high yield savings account. I think it's called Marcus.com, which is a crazy name. But
Mhm.
anyway, if you go to Marcus.com, they have their own high yield savings accounts. And I wonder how much this is going to eat into that. Again, not everybody uses iPhones, not everybody uses Apple, probably even less amount of people uses Apple Card. So I don't think they have anything to concerned about. But
And
this
it's
is an
all under
easy.
and it's all yeah, and it's all under one umbrella. It's all Goldman Sachs. So
Right.
Goldman Sachs is the insurer for Apple savings and for
Mhm.
their own high yielding. So it's basically they're dipping into multiple pots for basically the same thing.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Like I said, this kind of go, even though I'm excited and even though I set it up and did it already, kind of goes against one of my predictions. My prediction was Apple is not even going to release this anytime this year. So that's a negative on my predictions, but I'll take it because I had a nice little amount of money. I wish I would have. I think over the lifetime, let me see. I'm gonna give you a little inside baseball here. I think over the lifetime of the daily cash since I've been using it, let me see. Over time, let me go here. Give me a second. Let me see where I can find this.
You go into daily cash.
Oh, do I? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. All right. Of course, I don't have any there because I moved it all into my account.
But it
I was
looks
trying
like
to see.
I'm looking at my lifetime. You can see the lifetime. My
Yeah, where do
lifetime
you
is
find
like
that at?
so if you go into the Apple Card and you hit the three dots in a circle and
Mm-hmm.
click on daily cash, you'll see the
Ah, okay.
lifetime received at the top.
Gotcha. Yeah, there it is. So over the lifetime, I've had like $650 that I've had, and I've used a lot of it since then. But ever
Mm,
since they announced this high yield savings, I've been kind of saving it and not using it, hopefully to where I can move it into this account to where it can make a little bit of money while it's sitting there not doing
but
anything.
and also the thing with the savings account, mine is like I have over like 400. But the thing is, of course, your current cash and your future cash goes in there, but you can also, because it is just a regular savings account, you can add
Move, yeah,
additional
yeah,
funds to
yeah.
this. So it's not
Right.
like it's one of those things where, it only are these amounts from your daily cash. You can build your savings from this by adding additional funds from other banking accounts. And I've been actually looking for a high yielding account, savings account, to stash some money. And
Hmm.
I was doing a little bit of research, and I may just use this one that I already get rather than having to open a brand new one somewhere else.
Right. And I
Because
think me
the,
and my
the
wife,
percent is
go ahead.
the percent is what 4.15. So that is pretty high. I think that's probably
Uh-huh.
high, for the standard. I'm not sure if anybody else has a higher rate than that.
Um, I thought they did. Me and my wife use Ally for some
Mhm,
other stuff, not our main banking,
mhm.
but a little bit of savings. And I remember emails to where they were like 4 and 5%, but it looks like they dropped back down to 3.75%. So, as far as personally speaking, you know, um, Apple Cash has got them beat by almost a
Yeah,
full
almost
a
a full
full
point.
percentage point. So,
Yeah.
I have money all over the place. I actually use Cash App to
Oh,
I have some money in there to invest in the stock market. And I was trying to see, over, and I don't really, in this account, I don't actively trade. It's
mhm.
just like money that I'm not using. Let me
That's
put it
there.
in an index fund
Yeah,
and then let me put it with Apple. So I've got some stock with Apple, and it's not a whole tank junk of money, but I got
right.
a couple Apple stocks, and then I've got an index fund, right, to where I split the money up, amongst them, right. I was curious to see, over the lifetime of that account that I have, what is my annual, not annual, what is my total return on that
Mm,
account? And I think it's under 4%, maybe, I think. So if I just wanted to park money somewhere and not worry about it and still get a good APY, this might be good until they change it. Hopefully it doesn't go down, because these things do change, and depending
Yeah.
on what the bank is doing, what the economy is doing, what the government's doing. But 4.4%, that makes money. And reason why I thought it was dope to use the cash back is because I didn't necessarily spend that money.
It just
I
sits
kind of
there.
well, I and I'm using air quotes, I got it for
Mhm.
free, right? And what I mean by that is, when
Right.
I use my Apple card for purchases,
That you
I'm
were
making
already
a
gonna buy
purchase
anyway.
that
Yeah.
I was gonna buy anyway. I get cash back, right? So I didn't do anything to get the cash back, right?
Mhm.
So then the money that I didn't do anything to get, air quote, free money, I put it in this high yield savings account to where it can make more free money, right?
Right.
Versus taking some money and that I actually got by
Right.
saving it up, by not spending it. It's almost like you getting free money on top of free
Free
money.
money on free money. Yep.
Right,
Free
right,
money, free
right.
money, free money.
All right. So let us know out there if y'all are hype about the Apple Card or high yield Apple savings. Let us know if you're going to use it, and if it ain't tricking if you got it. So let us know if you how much money you've got saved up so far, if you bold like that. All right. So the next story I got is the HomePods with this latest update kind of help you out in the case of emergency. They can actually recognize, with this new sound recognition feature, I'm not Apple Pod, HomePod and HomePod Mini can actually listen for smoke and carbon monoxide alarms and actually send you alerts if they do detect, sound or a smoke alarm from a regular smoke alarm, right? So I have a Google Nest, three of them for all three floors of my house, and they are not interoperable with HomeKit at all because it's Google. Google and Apple do not mix.
At all.
So I have been contemplating, all right, when am I going to replace these smoke alarms slash carbon monoxide Google Nest alarms with something that's HomeKit compatible, so
Mhm.
I can, when the alarm goes off, I can go on my phone and turn it off, manage it from the HomeKit app versus
Mhm.
opening up the Nest app every time I want to turn off the smoke alarm, which it automatically signs me out because I never use it until there's a smoke alarm, which is every few and far between. And those are false alarms because it's just me cooking breakfast, right? So this may be a happy medium, because even though my Google Nest smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms are not compatible with HomeKit, with this new sound recognition feature, if the smoke alarms go off or make a sound, my home pods will pick it up and then send me a notification. So I'm trying to decide if I just don't want to mess with the carbon monoxide, the smoke alarms with Google Nest, or do I want to go over to an official HomeKit smoke alarm, so there's a little bit more functionality outside of
Mhm.
just alerting me if there is a smoke alarm.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. I don't think I need to check. I think I did all of my updates, but I don't think I did my HomePod updates. I have it automatically on. Sometimes the updates with the HomePods, sometimes it kicks off by itself, sometimes it doesn't. It's really weird. But I think the fact that you can set it where it will detect it. And I think I read in the article they said that if you have a HomeKit camera connected in
Mhm.
that space, you can get
Which
a
I do.
live video feed of what's
Mhm.
going on that room. So is it an actual fire? Is it, just
Or is this
someone
just a
else in the
thought?
house doing something is and cooking, like you said, cooking, or, and it does it while you're away from home. So you can manage it, if you're out at the grocery store or something and it's something, that big, you get that alert pretty quickly. So I think, using the home pods as like that medium is really smart, especially now it can detect temperature, it can
And
detect
humidity.
moisture,
Yeah,
though,
right.
yeah, those types of things. So I think, you know, Apple is slowly making, the home pods and the HomePod minis like the hub to the home, right? Because you can already do
Mhm.
like the intercom function if you have multiple. So it's one of those things where it's like it's making them, an essential part to the home environment, the home app. So I think it's pretty cool. I think there's more to come for accessibility and features with the HomePods and the HomePod minis.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So if you are a Kroger fan, it's been a while since I have shopped at Kroger, but every once in a while I stop in for if it's something that I got to get and it's right there. Um, Kroger and Home Depot have been one of my holdouts, but it looks like Kroger has finally kind of eased up on not being able to offer its customers Apple Pay. Last week, Apple Kroger finally began accepting Apple Pay and other contactless payment methods at select retail locations in Kentucky and Ohio. That's just it. That's it. Kentucky and Ohio. According to customers on Reddit and Twitter, customers are now able to tap and pay with an iPhone or Apple Watch at checkout. It's currently unknown just how many Kroger locations are accepting NFC-based payments or if contactless payments acceptance will be expanded to all 1,200 stores operating on the Kroger banner. Some Kroger-owned stores have begun accepting Apple Pay as some other grocery chains it owns, including Ralph's, QFC, King Supers, in Colorado and Wyoming. So all that to say, just a couple states right now, Kroger getting contactless payments, specifically Apple Pay. Hopefully this spreads to all the Krogers, and hopefully, like I mentioned at the top, Home Depot gets the memo because I'm in Home Depot all the time, and every time it's like, dang it, I got to dig him up. I got all these supplies and all this equipment, and
Now you
now I
gotta
got to
find the
reach in
card.
and now I got to find my card. So I don't know if it's a question of you got to change over the equipment. I don't know if they're trying to save money and not accept contactless payments because of some sort of processing fee. But it is kind of crazy that places as popular as Kroger didn't even take contactless payments at all. It's not that Kroger didn't, they accepted Samsung Pay and Google Pay, but they just didn't accept Apple Pay. They didn't accept NFC based contactless payments at all until now, to where they're offering Apple Pay, and then of course all of the other ones. So I think it's kind of crazy that in 2023, businesses, merchants are now getting around to, people don't want to pull out their credit cards no more.
So the thing is, Kroger is trying to make Kroger Pay fetch,
Oh,
which
so they
is
got some new thing.
their
They got a
yeah, they
Kroger
have
Pay.
their
Of course
QR
they do.
based checkout system. So it's not NFC, it's QR codes. And it's where you pay through the app, but you have to have a credit card or debit card saved
Onto the account.
into the Kroger app
That's
and
not the same thing.
use Kroger Pay. Right. It's not the same thing, but they're trying to, like I said, they're trying to make fetch happen. And
Mm-hmm.
sorry, it's not.
Yeah, I
And they
think
are trying to,
Walmart
I think,
does that
I think they're trying to force people to use the Kroger app, to use
so
this
they can get
Kroger
your
Pay.
data. Mm-hmm.
Right. And people are
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not doing that. Why would I
Right.
do that when I have like my smartphone and that's already built in? Why would I create a whole separate thing to do that? And it's with a QR code. So I still have to scan something rather than just tap it and go on about my business. And I'm thinking the reason that Kroger is finally coming around is because they're seeing that this Kroger Pay isn't going as planned, and they haven't been able to force people to really use it. And so there's like, well, you know, we could be losing business because I don't really shop at Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going in there to do it. But it's one of those things where I think they're realizing that they were trying to make their system and QR codes. I get it, QR codes are big during the pandemic, which was an easy way to, get things done. But you are a multi-billion-dollar company. You can afford contactless payments, Kroger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So come up to date. Come
Right.
on up. Come
So
on
you
up.
brought up a good point, right? Because there are other merchants like Home Depot, as a matter of fact, they let you use PayPal. Target, I think they have their own app to where they encourage you to, open up their app and then, like you mentioned, save a method of payment. So when you check out via Target, you use their app to do the payment. So technically it's contactless. It's, but at the same time, I think same thing with Kroger Pay. The benefit for these companies doing it that way is they get the data. If
Yeah.
me, I have to enter into their system what I'm paying for, and of course they get that, so where they can serve me up ads, all these suggestions to quote unquote air quotes a better user experience.
Mhm.
But the problem with that is you have to jump through hoops to do that. I got to
Yeah.
open the Target app. And what if I haven't used the Target app in a while? I got to
Hmm.
sign in. And then once you do that, you got to get to the wallet part. And then what if
Yep.
there's a bad connection, versus the Apple Pay, the Samsung Pay, the Android Pay, the Google Pay. You're just clicking a button, holding your phone up there, and you're done. You don't have to
And I
sign in
think
to
and I
nothing. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I think the thing with Target is they have their own thing because I use like the Target Circle where you can scan things and you get money off of these
Mhm.
purchases, whatever. Fine, but they also have Samsung Pay and Apple Pay and all those and the
In
contactless.
addition to, right.
Right. So they have both. And I think Kroger was holding out the hope that, we're just going to have our thing and force people to use our thing. Whereas other companies, I think, have a little bit more awareness to say, let's give the people an option. Of course, we would want them to use our system, but we're going to keep this train going with allowing them to use whatever system they have. And they may be more willing to use our app if they have the availability to use their Apple Pay because like I said, when I'm in Kroger, I open up the app and I scan the items to see
Mhm.
if what I'm buying gives me a Target
Right,
Circle
this
benefit.
right. And I do too. Same thing in Target. I'll use it and scan it and see what kind of benefits and rewards I get. When it's time to pay, I double click the thing and I
Yep.
pay because it's
Go
like muscle
on.
memory. It's
Right.
muscle memory. It's just like I just double click it, or I put my watch up there. That's just as simple.
So
So
easy. So
right.
easy.
All right. So the next thing up, the last thing I got in the lowdown is Google releases an emergency patch for Chrome on Mac. So of course there were some hackers was exploiting some sort of flaw in Chrome for Mac, not just Chrome in general, or maybe it was also Chrome for PC, but I don't care. Specifically for Chrome for Mac, Google had to push out a emergency patch to update a flaw that was currently being exploited. Let me just go ahead and read this. Google has labeled the vulnerability as high risk and urges all users to update to version v.1.2.112 so on and so forth. The update, which arrived on April 14th, includes two security fixes, one of which is divulged as a type of confusing bug discovered by Google's threat analysis group. Google says it is aware of the vulnerability that has been exploited in the wild, but declined to provide specific details. Google doesn't do a lot of information about what the flaw is and how it affects, but they've just said a majority of users are updated with a fix. So basically, all that to say is if you use Mac and you use Chrome on Mac, which a lot of people do, definitely make sure you update your Google Chrome browser so you don't be affected by this bug that is currently being exploited out in the wild. And what I mean by exploited out in the wild, that means whoever created it is actually using it to their advantage versus just trying to see if they can get some cool points by creating a bug, for Google Chrome.
Yeah, they are bad actors. They want to use this in a negative way, not just one of the things like, oh, we're going to be white hat. We're going to
Hmm.
see what issues we can find and then report it up to the companies. Maybe get a bounty or maybe just get kind of like the feather in your cap that you found this. So yeah.
Hmm. All right, so that is going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string where we talk tech in general. So, word on the street, not even word on the street, GM has came out and said that going forward with their future EV electric vehicles, they are going to no longer allow or integrate with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Uh, Scott Miller, vice president of software, defined vehicle operating systems at General Motors, doesn't think the decision was a terrible one. He says, let me see. Miller thinks the demand is just a sign that customers are still seeking an even better experience when getting in their cars. He doesn't see this as an end point, but rather a glimpse into what's possible and what's to come. Let's see. Talking about Android Pay and Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. His quote is, "Right now, it's convenient, it's good, and compared to where we've been in the past, it has been good, but it looks like GM wants to give users their own in-car infotainment experience. and kind of wean users off from CarPlay and Android Auto. So GM specifically, but as a whole, if you are shopping for a new vehicle, you personally, and you found the car you want, and has all the specs, has the right color, has the right wheels, has the right interior, has all those things, is not having CarPlay a deal breaker for you specifically? And do you think more people out there have that same thing, to where they're so used to using CarPlay or Android Auto to where not having that feature is a deal breaker for a lot of people?
So in my current vehicle, it's not CarPlay enabled. So I have a built-in infotainment system where I
Hmm.
can, connect to my phone. I can see, my contacts. I can make calls from that
Hmm.
info display, music and directions, those types of things. But I don't have the fully integrated, projection of the screen. So for
Hmm.
me, it wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker since I'm not used to it
You never
anyway.
had it.
Yeah,
Right.
and, in rental vehicles or in other people's vehicles, I've seen it and it's cool and it's definitely handy, but it's not something that's ingrained into my everyday life. I think the key point to note from this is that this is strictly for EVs. The
Hmm.
gas vehicles will still have um,
CarPlay and Android Auto.
CarPlay and Android Audio. So I think that's the key distinction. So if you're looking for an EV, um, that's something to take into consideration because it will affect all EV vehicles. And based on this article from The Verge, it it says that it's switching to um, to phasing out CarPlay and
Hmm.
Android Audio
Still going to offer
because
Bluetooth.
yeah, they're still gonna offer Bluetooth. It seems as if it's the way that they are doing something with some of the, automations and some of the details that in the infotainment system for the electric part of the vehicle that
Hmm.
causes some issues. This is what the article is
Oh,
saying. So that's
gotcha.
kind of what I'm gauging. It's one of those things where some of the things that they are trying to do with the infotainment as it relates to updates on battery life or those
All
types
kind
of
of fits
things,
together.
right? It doesn't necessarily maybe integrate seamlessly based
Hmm.
on what the article says. That's
Right.
the vibe I'm getting.
Mhm. All right, all right. Yeah, I was just curious because, again, like you mentioned, how's that, better to how's that phrase go? It's better to
Have loved and lost than not loved at all.
yeah, 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 yeah. Same thing with, CarPlay, right? In
Yeah.
my car, I don't have it, and I hate it. The infotainment in my car, it's older, so it's not it's I think my car was made in 2013, so all they had was Bluetooth back then, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I hate the Bluetooth, and even it's got the USB thing where I can plug it up. When I
Mhm.
plug it up, it takes forever to recognize my phone. It has to go through, manually add all the contacts, and it's like, I
Oh,
just wanna
wow.
listen to music. Don't wanna sit here every time I plug my phone up to have it
And go through this
download.
ritual.
Yeah, right, right, and then with the Bluetooth, it never works. It never works, seamlessly. I have to
Mhm.
go into my car, and I gotta turn the car on, and then I got even though my Bluetooth automatically connects with my phone, the sound doesn't always come through the speakers until I go on my phone and
Mm.
switch it to iPhone away from the car Bluetooth, and
Mhm.
then toggle the source on my car to, Bluetooth, and then it'll work. Every time I get in and out of my car, I have to do this little dance in order to get my Bluetooth to work. With my wife's car, it does have CarPlay, and all you gotta do is plug your phone. As soon as you plug your phone up, the radio switches to CarPlay, and right there on the screen, I've got access to the phone, Apple Maps, Apple Music, podcasts, audiobooks, all the stuff I do while I'm in the car. Sure, I check the speedometer, I check the gas, I check the temperature. Yeah, I don't care about that. What I care about is, how do I get to my messages? How do I listen to
Right.
music, podcasts while I'm driving? Because that's all we do, right? So I could personally, I my next vehicle, that would be a deal breaker for me.
Mhm.
If I had everything right, but they said, we don't have CarPlay or Android Auto, I'd be like, all right, well, Let me go look at some other cars, and if I can't find nothing else, or if I can't take out the radio part, air quotes, the
Mhm.
radio part of the car that I'm buying and put in an aftermarket system that has CarPlay, because I will consider that, because that's what I had to do with my wife's car. But
Mhm.
luckily, her car is so old, it's the den where the radio goes is square, so all the aftermarket CarPlay things fit. In my car, even though it's old, it has a weird way that the radio is integrated into the
Hmm.
temperature, into the all the some of the other things of the car, to where it's not just the radio part. So I've kind of went around and kind of priced how much it would be to put in an aftermarket unit with CarPlay, and they want like $1,100, $1,200, and I'm like,
Might as well just buy
well,
a new car.
yeah, I'm like, I am not putting $1,200 into this car that I've had for 10 years, so I
Yep.
just kind of grin and bear. But all that to say, personally, I feel there are some people, even though you make the delineation, it's just EVs. If you're going to buy a car from GM and it's just not an EV, you're going to get that probably up until they stop making, I'm guessing here, up until they stop making combustible engine vehicles, which is a long ways away from now, right? So if you're just buying a regular car, you're not thinking about an EV, you don't have to worry about it. But I could see possibly my next vehicle being an electric vehicle. And I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to seriously think about it if the car I was looking to buy is like, we don't have Android CarPlay or Android Auto. I'd be like, well, you just want me to get my money, you know.
No
But we'll
money
see.
for me.
We shall see. All right. So the next thing I had up is finally, Instagram got with the program, is now allowing you to add more links, up to 5 links in your profile. And this story from Engadget specifically says, so now you can stop using Linktree, which is what I use personally, is what we use for snobOS. When you go
Yep.
to snobOS on Instagram, you click the link in our bio, it takes you to Linktree, to where it gives you other links to our website, links to Patreon, links to our YouTube, links to, a couple other places. Yeah, I think it links to us personally as well,
Personally, I
you
think
know.
so.
But you have to jump through hoops. So if I'm trying to
Yeah.
get a listener to download or subscribe to our show via Instagram, they've got to click on our bio. That'll take them to a link tree, and then they got to find the link that they want to click on to get to the podcast. Then they actually have to click on the button to actually get to the podcast where they can subscribe. The
Mhm.
benefit of Instagram now letting you add 5 links to your to your profile, is so that your listeners, your viewers, whatever action you want them to take, they can do that in short, less steps, because the more steps people have to do, the less likely they're going to do it. So to be able to go on the snobOS podcast profile in Instagram, and on the bio, give them a link to our website, give them a link to the show in Apple Podcasts, give them the link to Patreon right there. That's less steps that the user has to take. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. It'll be interesting to see how they grow past this, because right now it's just links in the profile. We'll have to see if the links will matriculate over to the actual posts, to where you can add links to an individual post. But I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, and you can add up to 5, so it looks like whatever you link it to, that's where it'll go. That's
Mhm.
what it looks like looking at, this article's from Engadget, and they kind of showed what
Right.
theirs look
Mhm.
like, and it looks like
Mhm.
it goes to,
You
the
click.
first, link, it looks like it goes to, like, a editor's pa it goes directly to his page,
Mhm.
meaning the authors on their website, so it looks like you could maybe link anything, and it looks like I don't know why it took so long for Instagram to come along to this, because this is saving you clicks. This is keeping people clicking in your app rather than clicking to an external app and that app getting those clicks. So it's weird that it took them this long to add it in. Mark Zuckerberg said, he was like, it's probably one of the most requested features. And I'm like, it seems like a fairly easy addition. So what took you so long to get on board?
Well, it was just that, right? The thought well, this is my assumption. The thought was, well, the less links we put anywhere in our app, you won't leave our app. We
Mm,
want you to stay in our app. So no links anywhere, don't leave. Because all the apps, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of them really want you to stay in their app. Well, I guess what
mhm,
Instagram finally came up with is like, as say in Jurassic Park, life finds a way, and people figured out how to, get people to leave Instagram by using that one option and that one link added to a link tree to where people were leaving the app and then clicking on other things. So Instagram's like, all right, all right, all right. Well, instead, like you mentioned, like you said, instead of giving link tree all this shine, get all these clicks or whatever, we might as well just let people go directly from our app to wherever they're trying to go. So
mm.
nobody else can get some shine off of our app.
Right. Yeah. So
All
that's
right, all right.
interesting. So
Well,
before we get out of second string, I wanted
uh-huh.
to see if you'd seen what was going on Twitter. The great I guess you can call it blue checks it has happened, and all of the
That
blue
was today,
checks,
right?
it was today. All the blue checks are now gone except for people who have Twitter Blue and pay the $8 a month. And I
Mhm.
was looking through my timeline, and literally there are no blue check marks on my timeline at all. And yeah, it this morning it was still normal, but I think this afternoon is when they flipped the switch or did whatever they did on their side, and it is gone. And of course, hijinks has already ensued. I've seen a couple of Hillary Clinton accounts. I've seen a John Morant account. So it's going to be, I think, a wild few days um, with this checklist system, unless you have Twitter Blue. It's going to be an even wilder time. It's going to turn Twitter into an even bigger hellscape on
Well,
the heels
so
of your boys' latest rocket exploding a couple minutes after it launched. So he's not
so it'll
having
be
the best day.
interesting. This will be a good test, right? It'll be interesting to see if, in fact, people who have subscribed to Twitter Blue will get called out for being on Twitter Blue. Because
They
before,
already have. It
right?
started.
Okay, and so I'm looking at this post right now from LeBron James, right? And
Mhm.
he posts on March 31st. He says, "Welp, guess my blue check will be gone soon. Cause if you know me, I ain't paying the 5." But if you look at his profile, he has the blue check. So I'm curious to see if people um will I'm curious to see those who lose their blue check. Are they going to make a big deal about it? Are they going to call out the fact that whoop, I guess my blue check is gone. Forget y'all.
I've
You
seen a lot of
know,
people do that. A lot of celebrities. Halle Berry had a post that was pretty funny.
mhm,
And I think what someone said was I've seen a lot of people who lost theirs, even this because originally the blue checks were supposed to be gone April 1st.
mhm.
And I don't think they was ready. And then they announced it was the 20th. And, people had already started saying, well, I'm saying my last goodbyes to my blue check. And that's what I've been seeing on the timeline for people losing theirs. As soon as they notice that it's gone, they'll make a post and say, well, it was fun while it was lasted, or, post a funny meme or something. And also what I saw is that someone said that if you subscribe to Twitter Blue, because it's kind of shaming people now that have it and people feel like exposed and out there.
Mhm.
Somebody said they went to unsubscribe and you have to wait 30 days before you can unsubscribe.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. 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 Okay.
So so yeah. So if you still have a blue check mark, I mean, honestly, by now you're paying for it. But I say if you still have a blue check tomorrow, then it's pretty obvious that you subscribe to Twitter Blue.
Right. And again, we'll see how much of a divide that caused. Because
Yeah.
really people are just doing it now, but it'll be interesting to see if that becomes a thing in and of itself to where
Mm.
anytime you say anything and you have a blue check. Before it was like, okay, this person, I need to pay attention to what they said. Now it's the complete opposite to where if you do have a blue check, they're gonna be like, man, I ain't listening to nothing you say.
You the ops, as the kids say. You the ops.
Right.
So yeah. So I just thought it was funny that they all kind of went away at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. All right. Good. That's a good little story to add. All right. So moving on to for the culture. I couldn't find anything really. But I saw that Netflix fell on his face this weekend as it relates to their second attempt at a live stream, this time for the Love is Blind reality show. I don't know if you actively watch it, if you watched it in the past, but basically what Love is Blind is, it is exactly what you think. Well, maybe not. Let me not say that because the people are not actually blind. So let me clear that up. What I mean by that is the contestants of this reality show meet somebody, get interested in them, and then actually go through the process of getting married to them before they even see what this person looks like. They get to talk to them, they get to know their insides and out, but this is all through, voice back and forth.
Mhm.
After you decide to get married and you actually do the proposal thing, then you kind of you kind of follow these couples around for, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe. I don't know the timeline. And then to see if them getting married before they met each other and them trying to form a relationship after they have seen each other, will they make it to the end? Will they end up staying married or will they kind of annul the relationship? Right. So
Mhm.
that's pretty much the whole gist of um, the reality show. And I think it's like in its fourth or fifth
I think it's
season.
the 4th season. I think it's the 4th.
Yeah,
But
it's the fourth.
people are so invested in this show. I don't
Okay.
even watch it, but when I saw the debacle happening online, I was invested because it was like people were really losing their mind not
Mhm.
about not being able to see this live reunion. They were pissed. They were upset.
So I'm curious. So what happened was, let me fill you up before I start asking questions. What happens is Netflix is all right for the reunion show because normally what they do after this
Get the
reality
Furby in
show,
hands.
yeah, after they do the season is over, they kind of do this reunion show where they bring all the people back to kind of talk about their experience, to kind of find out what has unfolded since the show wrapped, and who's together, who's not, who's beefing, who's not. Drama, drama, drama. That's what we love. So what happened was they were going to do it live this time. Before it's pre-recorded, yada yada yada. Now it's live. Netflix did a good job, from what I can tell, with the Chris Rock special that
Mhm.
they live streamed. It wasn't pre-aired, wasn't pre-recorded. That was live. Seemed to go off without a hitch. So they said, all right, well, let's do it again with one of our other more popular properties, which is this Love is Blind reality show. And they were getting people hype. They were like, all right, 15 minutes, y'all ready? So they kind of hyped it up. And then once it was go time, wherever your time frame was, it didn't start. Netflix is like, all right, hang in there with us. Going through technical difficulties, was still kind of jawing around. It's like, love is late. That's something that, the Netflix, the team, social media team, kind of put up there to kind of, get people to, hang in there with us. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours go by, nothing happens. And then to where Netflix finally says, our bad. It didn't go as planned. You'll still be able to watch it, but tune in Monday, the next day at 12 noon, to where they have finally, aired,
Recorded it.
yeah, recorded it and edited it, which I think the whole point of something being live is it's
Is to
not
see the
edited.
unedited,
To
right.
see the unedited raw as it happens, because a lot of
And these
people are
shows are
kind of
already messy anyway, so they
right,
wanted to see the mess in real time.
and they're already heavily edited, right?
Mhm.
So, the what we see as the audience may or may not be what actually happened in the
Right.
chronological order that it happened with the edit of the actual show versus live as it's happening. And I think a lot of people, were attracted to that because this season, from what I can tell, I'm not a follower of the show. I think I watched the first season, that was it. But from what I can tell, this season's been more messy
Mhm.
than past seasons. So I think that added to the anticipation as well. So that adds up to anticipation of a messy season, which is going to equate to a messy reunion show. That added to the anticipation. Netflix themselves hyping up their show going live added to it. And again, to watch a train wreck unfold, that's always a good time for people. So, the fact that it didn't happen, people
Well,
were
they had a
upset. People
train
were,
wreck, just not the train
yeah,
wreck they thought.
right, right. Of course, everybody, other brands, Twitter, people get creative when somebody falls on their face.
Yeah.
So all the memes, all the tweets,
All
everything
the
went crazy.
responses, Bravo was like, "We would never do
Mhm.
this to you."
Yeah.
Blockbuster even
Uh-huh,
got in
uh-huh.
on it. There were memes about
Right.
bringing the DVDs back. I'm telling you, it was hilarious. I was like, "I don't know what this show really does." Even though I found out, I think what people wanted to see is apparently there was one guy who had proposed to a girl, and then she decided after they agreed to get married, she was supposed to be going dress shopping or something. She decided to go with one of the other guys, and then she told the guy that she wasn't giving him his ring back. And I think these are the black people on the show. And
Mhm,
in
mhm.
these types of shows, it's very rare for a black man and a black woman to get
One, be
together.
together, and then
Yeah,
two, be the center of all the
right.
drama.
Right, and so I learned that just from, like, the fallout, and I think people want to see that play out in
Mhm,
real time, unedited,
mhm,
but yeah, but it was a good time. I was laughing, people were posting, like, their screens of, like, "We will return shortly," or "Intermittent problems," and the timeline was in shambles because people
mhm.
were losing their ish,
Yeah,
for real.
in unison as a community,
Right,
we
and
come
that's the
together
good
as
of
a
Twitter,
community
that's what
to
we're gonna
drag
miss.
somebody else, right?
Yeah, that's good Twitter, what we are used to for Twitter, and it's
Right,
unfortunate that, it's going the way it's going, but,
right.
it was a good reminder, a good throwback to what fun Twitter used to be.
Yeah, so just to put out not the disclaimer, the apology slash explanation from what's his guy name? Peters. I mean, gotta find out his name. All right. So one of the representatives at Netflix, he quotes, "I will start by saying we are really sorry to have disappointed so many people. We didn't meet the standard that we expect of ourselves to serve our members. And just to be clear, from a technical perspective, we've got the infrastructure. We just had a bug that we introduced actually when we implemented some changes to try and improve line stream performance after the last live broadcast, Chris Rock in March. We just didn't see this bug in internal testing because it only became apparent once we put sort of multiple systems interacting with each other under the load of millions of people trying to watch Love is Blind," he explained.
And that
The only
comes from
problem,
co-CEO Greg Peters, he's the
Greg
co-CEO.
Peters. Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't I saw his last name, I didn't see his first name. All right. So with that, the only problem that I have with this is that old saying, if it ain't broke, do not fix it. Like I
Leave it
mentioned,
alone.
leave it alone. Like I mentioned, I think millions more people, in my opinion, probably tuned into the Chris Rock stand up because of all the drama that had with it, the whole Will Smith slap,
Mhm.
and was Chris Rock going to respond, and how was he going to do after that? So all the drama from that, I think, was very much paramount to this Love and Blind reality reunion show,
Mhm.
which leads me to believe that what they were doing or what they did with Chris Rock worked flawlessly. So why would they then go and try to change or add or improve something for not less for less viewers? I
I
guess
don't I w
again,
I don't know. I don't that was my thing. I was like, were they expecting more people? And I think it said, Chris Rock, ultimately got 17.8 million hours, but it said that they were expecting around 6.5 million people to watch it. And my thing is, I don't know how many people watch Chris Rock, so I don't know if they thought more people were going to tune in than Chris Rock, and so they were trying to get ahead of it. But anytime you have this type of thing, I'm surprised that they didn't do a test of this, like a productionized test. They control what is viewable on their app. So even if they did live stream something, you would think that, coming from this background, especially in the QA aspect of this and the infrastructure part, I'm really surprised that they didn't do a productionized run, because they're saying that they didn't know the bug existed until they actually went live. So you can fake go live on things, and fake meaning it's technically
You stress
live,
test it.
but
Mm-hmm.
no one outside of who you want to see it can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Mm-hmm.
is a tech company, so you would think maybe now they will come up with a system that allows them to do live tests, that are technically live but only viewable by the people they want. Maybe they'll introduce, some sort of technology or programming to do that. But I'm really surprised, as much as they um was promoted this,
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't catch this, because I'm assuming they had to do some sort of test like this
Maybe
when
they
they did
didn't.
Chris Rock.
What?
Maybe they didn't.
Maybe it
Maybe
just
they didn't.
worked for Chris Rock. And again,
Maybe.
what ain't
That's
broke,
surprising though.
don't fix it. But maybe if they wouldn't have laid off all them people, maybe they could have fixed it. Maybe if they wasn't chasing people around who's sharing
About some damn
passwords,
passwords.
maybe if they would have took that focus and focused on Love is Blind, maybe it'd be different. Maybe if they weren't worried about running up the prices on Netflix's monthly amount, and instead of focus that on this live stream, maybe it'd be all right. So, the fact
Focus
that,
on the right thing, people.
right,
Focus on the
Net
right thing.
people have already been buzzing about Netflix and leaving it for, all the above reasons. And then here they come, making it worse. So I'm not saying there's been some mass exodus from Netflix, but I mean, this ain't boding well for them, in the past couple months, all these oopsies, all this bad press coming out of Netflix, so we'll
And
have
it
to
looks
see how. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying this. No, go ahead. I was moving. I was going to talk about something else I just saw in the
Yeah,
article.
yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna say, time will tell, how they bounce back from this. Are they going to try to do something else live? I would leave personally, I would leave the live streaming alone. Let this die down. Let something else happen, crazy before we try to get back into that and put up some other dope content, and let people binge watch, because again, Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon Prime and all these other streaming companies that was trying to pull us away from how we were used to watching television. We were used to watching television to where I have to be home at 8 o'clock to watch the latest season or the latest episode of my favorite show, right?
Mm,
That's how it worked. Maybe
mhm.
you could record it, maybe you could DVR it and watch it later. But the whole point of how we used to watch TV is, I know I got to be at home at 8 o'clock to watch this episode, or I'm not sure how I'm going to get to it, right?
Right.
Netflix and them was like, hey, forget that. That's dumb.
That's old.
Watch the show whenever you want, the
Mhm.
whole entire season if you want
Whole
to,
thing.
because we're going to put it out there and let you decide when, where, how you want to watch these shows. And we was like, oh, that sounds like an awesome idea. We're going to do that. So they pulled all of us away. Now we watching the whole seasons at one time. Now HBO Max and Netflix and all of them's like, oh, the binging thing. Why don't you just watch one show as it comes out every week?
We're gonna
How about
spread
that?
it out. We're gonna
Mhm.
spread it out.
Yeah, we're gonna spread it out a little bit. Now they're like, hey, in order to watch this show, you got to be at home at 4 o'clock in order to watch this thing. It's like we're coming full circle. We went
Right.
from having to be in front of the TV at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, all the way back around to now I got to be in front of my computer
Mhm.
or my Roku stick or my Apple TV box or my Google Cast on Sunday at 8 o'clock in order to watch
Right.
the thing I want to watch. It's like, why am I
Yeah.
paying all this money when I can just watch regular TV?
I can watch it on regular TV. Yep. I was just gonna say that they seem to be kinda taking it all in stride. Netflix put up a billboard that says, "We told you the
They ain't
Love
got
Is
no choice.
Blind would be memorable." So they're trying to capitalize on the fun. They had to get on the fun because it was like watching it in real time was like, "Oh, we'll be starting in 10 minutes," and they make a little
Mhm.
funny quip. "Oh, we'll be starting in 15 minutes," and make a funny quip. And then once it got to over an hour, almost an
Point of
hour
no
and a half,
return.
and it
Mhm.
was just like, "Okay, bro, we're going to regroup." They did show it live at they had some official screening for like a
Mhm.
smaller group of people,
Mhm.
kinda like a watch party, I think it was, in LA somewhere. So those people got to see it live, but, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
at this point, you just gotta, as they say, tweet through it. You just gotta
Mhm.
get in on the joke yourself because this was a royal screw up for
Mhm.
real,
So
and people were pissed.
and you better believe the next live streaming thing that they put up, people are gonna be
Mhm.
riding them until it comes out perfect. But
Yep.
up until it comes out perfect, they're gonna get the business.
Yeah. And even then, they're gonna remind them, "Well, you got it right this time, but remember when you did XYZ?" Because people never forget.
Mhm. All right. So that is it for the culture. We're going to move into the hookup where we give you any sort of tip, trick, or any new thing we think you need to check out. This week, like we mentioned at the top of the show, the new Apple Card Savings account or Apple Savings, I think that's what we're going to call it. Apple Savings came out. It's only available on your mobile devices. There's no website to go through, but you do have to jump through some hoops to get it set up. So basically, what I want to do for the hookup this week, wanted you to walk you through quickly on how to set up your Apple savings account. So basically what you have to do is on your phone, you have to open up the wallet app and tap your Apple card. Again, in order to get this savings account, you have to be an Apple card user. So this is not just something that you get for having an iPhone or having Apple Cash. You have to have the Apple card. Once you do that, tap the Apple card, and then you tap the more button or the ellipses, three ellipses, then tap daily cash. And then at the bottom, you'll get a little message that says tap setup next to savings, and then follow the on-screen instructions. It's going to be asked if you want to transfer funds from your Apple Cash balance to your new account to start earning interest. If you don't want to transfer Apple Cash balance, just tap the close button. If you do want to transfer funds, you got to tap the tap transfer your Apple Cash and then follow those on-screen instructions. Like we mentioned at the top, once you set this up, then any sort of cash balance, cash back that you get from using your Apple card will automatically go directly to the savings account. So you don't have to worry about whether or not your money is making more money. As long as you're swiping that card and you're getting that cash back, you will be able to take advantage of that 4.1, I would say 4.1,
1.5.
4.15 high yield savings amount. So definitely, if you're using that, taking advantage of that cash back, maybe this is a way for you to not spend it and put it in the bank so you can make more money. And more importantly, a dig at Goldman Sachs. I'm pretty sure they're using that money that you're keeping in that account as collateral so they can do some other things with your money. But again,
Absolutely.
I guess uh, win is a win, right? You get a little extra money, and Goldman Sachs gets to use your money. So I guess
We
I
all
guess
benefit.
I guess we all benefit. So definitely check that out. Again, let us know if you're using it. Um, and I think that's going to do it for this week. Like I said, we definitely thank everybody for joining in. Please, if you want to watch the show, you can go to our YouTube. If you want to follow us, you can go to Twitter and Instagram. If you want to download the show, you can go to your podcast player. And where you find all that information is by going to our website. If you go to snobOScast.com, it'll give you the links to all of our recent episodes. You can read through the show notes. You can click play on the website right then and there and listen to the show, in addition to being able to link to the show in your podcast player and to do things like join our newsletter, find us on Instagram and Twitter, and again, like I mentioned, support us via Patreon. So definitely go to snobOScast.com to do that. Nica, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere on the internets.
And you can find me at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. Definitely, you can find us at snobOS Cast. So definitely do that. But until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.